Hi everyone, thank you for watching this video. My name is Donnie Lowy from Closeoutexplosion.com. I have a wholesale business in Brooklyn, New York. The next time you are in New York, you are welcome to visit my warehouse. Today I'd like to share with you what I like to call secrets of the brand name dress companies. These are some very startling and interesting secrets I've discovered as a result of being involved in the buying and selling of brand name and designer dresses. As you might know, I have a warehouse in Brooklyn, New York, and what I primarily do is I buy overstock and closeouts and store buyouts. And I like to focus on brand name and designer dresses as well as other items. So the first secret I'd like to share with you is that many of the major dress companies have their dresses manufactured by the same factories. I know that there are more than likely thousands and thousands of dress factories or factories that can produce dresses, but the brand name companies want to make sure that their dresses are made in the best way possible and that their dresses are very high quality, and they need to work with reliable factories because they do need those dresses in time for their sales. So what ends up happening is that many of the brands will actually go to the same factories or the same manufacturers, and then they'll have their dresses produced. Therefore, a lot of the dresses are similar quality, even if they're different brands. Another important secret that I discovered is that many times you'll have a freelance designer or an outside design house producing designs for the dress companies. And even when the dress companies have their own designers, here's another important secret: those designers can rotate through the industry. So a designer, for example, and I'm just giving a theoretical example, can work for Ralph Lauren, and next can work for Calvin Klein, and next can work for Anne Klein. And even though the designer will implement different designs at each dress company, but because the designs are coming from the same designer, there are going to be similarities. It's just like an artist painting portraits of different people, even though the portrait of each person is going to be different because it's a different person, but each portrait is going to have similarities because the portrait is being painted by the same artist. So the same thing happens when the dresses are designed by the same designer. Even though that designer might be at one point working for Ralph Lauren and another point might be working for Anne Klein, but the dresses that he or she is designing are going to have similarities because they're coming from his or her own creativity. Another important secret that I discovered, which I think is very important to know, is that many times the brands themselves are not producing their dresses, but they're actually giving out the license to produce their dresses to another company, and that company actually produces the dresses. You might ask why? Well, the reason is the brand themselves, they might not have experience in producing dresses. They might not want to deal with the hassle of producing dresses. They might not know where to hire a designer. They might not want to have to take care of logistics. They might not want to be involved with the procurement of the merchandise that they need to make the dresses, the materials, for instance. They might not want to have to be involved with selling the dresses. So for that reason, they will look for companies who will then become the license holders, and those companies, those third-party companies, will produce the dresses. And what does that practically mean? It practically means that the license holder might be producing dresses for a few different brands. And what could be the end result of that is that the dresses by a few different brands, if they're being produced by the same license holder, then the dresses can be very similar in quality and style. And what does that mean? That a dress, in theory, by Ralph Lauren can be very similar to a dress by Anne Klein if the same license holder is producing dresses carrying those two different brands. Now keep in mind that the dress companies are going to have requirements for the license holders. So Ralph Lauren can have different requirements than Calvin Klein, and Calvin Klein can have different requirements than Tahari. So there are going to be differences, but there's probably going to be some similarities if the dresses are being made by the same license holder. All right, hope you enjoyed this video. The next time you come to New York, you're welcome to visit my warehouse. And actually, you want to mention one more thing. I would say one of the more important reasons to know these different secrets is because what often happens is, as consumers or as resellers, we will focus on a brand or on a designer. But it's important to know that we can often find similar quality in brands or designers that are not as well known or not as popular as a very expensive brand or design, and the merchandise will be just as good. So you might discover that, for instance, a dress by R&M Richards is of the same quality or even a better quality than a Ralph Lauren dress, because if both dresses are being made in a factory in China, then it's possible that the dresses by R&M Richards are being made by a factory that has access to better materials or just can produce a better dress. Or the designer that's currently working for R&M Richards might be a better designer than the one working for Ralph Lauren. Or they might have the same designer and the same factory. So that's why don't just focus on the brand, don't just focus on the designer name, but look at the quality and look at the style of the dresses. I understand that many people want to buy a dress just based on the style, and I completely get that. But it's also important to look at the dress itself, because if you could explain to your customers, if you could properly demonstrate to your customers that the quality of the dress by the lesser known brand is just as good or even better than the dress by the very well known and popular brand, you might make a sale and you might be doing a very good favor to your customers. I hope you enjoyed this video. The next time you're in New York, please visit my warehouse. My website is closeoutexplosion.com. Thank you and have an amazing day.